Hello everybody, today is May 6th. It is about 3:15 Eastern Standard Time here in East Tennessee. So first video of the week, and I wanted to start with a couple elections that happened over the weekend. Alright, we'll jump right in. So as you may know, this is the Australian elections that occurred Saturday. Alright, so ALP is the Labour Party. Present Labour PM, Albanese, was re-elected quite easily. Polls were correct on this nationally. Remember, they have a ranked choice system in Australia. The Liberal National Party coalition, which were your conservatives, were to the right. Real no serious populist thing, just the same thing with Paul Poulivet and the Conservative Party of Canada. Very similar defeats. Matter of fact, both Dutton, the leader of the coalition, lost his seat too, just like Poulivet did. So it was really disappointing. So both countries now have globalists, center-lefts. So there you have it with what's going on with this election. Yeah, I thought the polls would be tighter, to be honest with you, because they have a history of underperforming, meaning that the polls overperformed Labour net-wise, like 3-6 from the last election. Didn't matter here. The polls were actually correct nationally, and then when you throw in that ranked choice, it wasn't good. So was there the Trump effect, tariffs, other issues probably in play? So Australia has not been the same country since COVID, in my opinion, the things I see coming out of there. But we'll see what happens going forward there. All right. The next election was Romania, first round. If you all know, Georgescu, thrown out by the globalists. He couldn't run again. So they had this. This was the first round. So the fill-in from the AUR party is Simeon in the orange there. He won the first round with 41% of the vote. He was polling in the 37, 38, but he got similar numbers to Georgescu from the prior election that was thrown out. So what I found interesting, Antonescu is the leader of their left-wing party. I thought would finish second. He didn't. He actually finished a close third behind Nizikor Daniel Dan, who will now go to the runoff to take on Simeon to become the president. So that's going to be on the 18th, I believe, is the second round. This will be interesting because they got on Dan got 21, he got 20. So you add them up, they got basically what Simeon got. So Simeon has to find a way, provided everybody votes, again, to get a much smaller amount than clearly Dan would have to get. So I would imagine, if you're looking at this, you're probably sitting on 41 each. Now, some of the voters won't vote, who voted for prior candidates and things like that. So how these other third-party people more on the bottom of this chart will determine who will win with that. Simeon is not as good as Georgescu, but he is more populist. He is more conservative. Notice how the establishment didn't go after Simeon. I have a feeling he's going to be like a Maloney, you know, talk the talk, do some stuff, but really cave into EU stuff at the end of the day. Maybe get things out of it, kind of like what Orban does. So we'll keep an eye on this race, see how the polls go. I think that if he consistently gets above 50% in the polls in the second round, he'll probably win and pull it out. So there you have it there. So let's jump back home a little bit. Here you go. Benny Johnson. Breaking. Activist Judge Jamal Whitehead orders the Trump administration to take in roughly 12,000 refugees. So now, according to these judges, that, you know, remember, no due process coming into the United States, but insane due process going out of the United States is their position. Now, you have to take in people who didn't follow the legal process against federal law. It's insane. You know, because of an executive order that Trump got rid of and so forth. If you live by the executive order, you can die by the executive order. Nothing changed in federal law that Biden did. If he created something out of thin air, it can be eliminated out of thin air. It's the same concept. This is, I mean, at this point, it's clearly a plan to how they're doing this. So while we're also on judges, did want you to know the Supreme Court, just before this video came out, and ruled that the transgender ban of the military is upheld. It was a 6-3 vote. So I guess that's one piece of good news on the judge side. But also, Michael Johnson says, yeah, we're not going to impeach them. You know, and the argument that, well, they won't get convicted, it's not the point. You get subpoena power, you expose the judges, you can go through their phone records, their financials. Okay, they have to hire lawyers. It's a pressure. It's a way to show accountability even if you don't get convictions. These spineless Republicans. I mean, look what the Dems did with the fake January 6th commission. You can't even impeach these judges who are clearly going, it's a clearly coordinated ideological plan to do these stall tactics with these district judges. Okay, if it wasn't a case, they wouldn't take unprecedented things and make a lot of these injunctions national. Okay, so I just wanted to comment that because I thought it's funny, now they have to take them in. Unbelievable. So,
a very important part of this segment is the Maha movement, and RFK Jr. Gets incredible.
Make America healthy. If you merge Maha and MAGA,
that's how we won.
It's like exactly. It's like 1932. You govern forever.
100%.
So that was a clip with MGT talking to Bannon about Maha and MAGA. That's correct. Why? Because it is an economic nationalist and populist coalition. Okay? All right? People say, what's your views? I don't like big, right? It's not just big government. See, the traditional Republicans, and I mean that in the more modern sense, of the party what are they? They're big pro-corporate, they're big pro-military industrial complex, they're big pro into these institutions. They just don't want a big federal government when it comes to economics so they can continue to profit. I mean, that is their true position, okay? The people, this is why you got the Jimmy Dores of the world and the Russell Brands and all these populists who supported Trump, because he's putting together this coalition like with RFK. Because the big corporations who are now in bed with the government, right, with the regulatory agency. Oh, I worked for the FDA, now I'll go work for Pfizer. I worked for this food company, I worked for the agricultural department, and then vice versa. You get your pension, then you go there. Or you get off the board, you go there for the cushy job. The insights, right? And half these lobbyists and bureaucrats all live within like 3 counties of D.C. Right? They go to the same schools, the same whatever. So you create like this aristocracy, this like old medieval court of kingdom and baronets and dukes. And that's what it is. So the big corporations aren't good, okay? Because we have to have faith that our food is good. Red number 4, yellow number 5, all these products that went in. I saw the meme about the ketchup bottle. Look at, I ate it when I was a kid, but look at the ingredients in the 80s. It was in the high fructose corn syrup and all these other things. Okay, so this is an example where the populist left, which has huge distrust in corporations, but has a little more faith in government, I gotta have faith in neither. I don't like any big. Because any big leads to concentration of power, and it's the closest thing to trample the individual's rights. And the United States, it is the individual that is the sovereign, along with the state. All right, so I think that's correct. I think we can keep that coalition. RFK ex-Democrats who vote and we deliver on these things will continue to be part of the coalition, and it could be long-lasting. And if we deliver on these health things, along with all the other stuff we discussed, like tariffs, no wars, more responsible federal government, strengthening the dollar, reindustrialization, you can sustain this huge coalition that they're talking about, like 1932, which is they're referring to is that's when the Dems took over, and they held the House till 1994. Now, also during that period, you had such thing as conservative Democrats back then, and people would switch parties. Not switch parties, but there was much more crossover voting on a lot of issues. Okay? So, moving on, and ironically, it's MGT again. This is off my Twitter. MGT post, all the narratives are wearing off. Vietnam was a pointless war and we lost. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Afghanistan was a waste, and we gained nothing from any of those wars. Saudi Arabia had nuclear weapons, and the 19 terrorists from 9/11 were all Saudis. Did we go to war with them? Nope. North Korea has nukes. Little Rocket Man hasn't blown us all yet, but we were told he was going to. Pakistan and China have nukes as well. And big bad Russia has nuclear weapons. We were told Putin was going to sweep across Europe just like Hitler, and that hasn't happened yet either. And he couldn't take Ukraine in 3 years. We've been told Iran is on the verge of having nuclear weapons at any moment for as long as I can remember. People just don't care anymore because none of these things actually affected our lives unless they were in the military and shipped over to these foreign countries and blown up. But what has directly affected Americans and people that I know is the cartel's constant flow of drugs into every single city in America, cartel crime and murder. I've never seen a Houthi, nor has anyone else I know. But what everyone knows is that for some reason we don't attack the real enemy that kills Americans every single day. No, we have to run off and bomb some country somewhere else in the world because we're told that they're bad guys, even though that they've never did anything directly to the Americans like the cartels have. So there you have MGT. So yeah, what's she going on? She's going on, you know, a little rant. Okay? But it makes you think about it. It's kind of like a cartel. You see, it's like the climate change cult and the COVID cult. There's big money to be made there. And it's the same thing with the military-industrial complex and the foreign establishment policies, right? These people sit on the boards, go to the Joint Chiefs, go from the Joint Chiefs to these corporate boards. Then they go to a think tank that's funded by these big defense contractors. Then you have the huge institutions that they are reportedly more loyal to, like NATO, European Union. Okay? It's, you know, the corrupt, and they're also being fueled by old biases to make bad decisions as well. Okay? But yet, like everything, when we're diverted because someone else's distraction onto their own personal benefits and flawed policies, it draws away from key things like securing the border and all this stuff. And we know the globalists are in it. That's why the judges are blocking them on everything like this. So, but her point is ridiculous. We have not achieved anything attainable from these wars, from whatever we do. Now, Trump said in the White House, we made a deal with the Houthis. Okay, now I'm hearing it wasn't that they didn't agree to attack. They agreed not to attack American ships. Now, which one is it? So I don't know exactly what's going on with that one, but we'll have to see how that story develops. So while we're on MAHA and MGT and RFK, this was interesting. The National Institute of Health has shut down research labs accused of conducting deadly experiments on thousands of beagles over the past 40 plus years. You're like, were they doing that? Yes, they were doing that. As a matter of fact, I've seen pictures and videos. What they would do is take these poor beagle puppies, put boxes around their head, and they would inject them with larva types of flies so they can eat their brains, and they would study them. This is all under Fauci. Well, that's kind of what sick, twisted, sociopathic murderer the guy is, and I'll say it again, he needs to just go. No trial. Military style kind of war crimes is what this level scumbag is on the planet. And this is what he did. This is what he got his kicks off too. Unbelievable. But I'm glad they got rid of such basic common sense humanity. So I just thought I was happy about that because I remember this story when it broke like 3 years ago about these beagle studies. So when I saw it, I was like, all right, this is good. So, little news on the tariff front. Again, don't know the deal about it. Breaking, India offers to drop tariffs on the U.S. to 0 on several products, Trump's announces. Huge. Yes, I've heard people say, oh, no, it's on all. No, they did not drop it all. It's on several products. Again, don't know the details yet. The devil's in the details. We know they're negotiating with lots of countries, so we're going to have to wait and see what the details are. But that's a good sign. India has one of the most protective tariff regimes out of all the bigger nations in the world. So if that's a development, that's a good development. And that's one of the points of the tariffs. All right. So a little Ukraine here. So this is, if you don't know, Ukraine over the last 2 nights has launched massive drone strikes, like 100 plus each night heading east. Some on the front, some towards Moscow, whatever. Some said they got through, some said they didn't. Either way, debris did hit certain like apartment buildings, other things that were going down. That's what always happens when you shoot down an aircraft. You don't know where the debris is going to go. So that causes problems as well. But at the same time, Ukraine has also launched a small operation back into the Kursk region again. So there's heavy fighting in that area as well. So I don't know, they're obsessed with this Kursk region. But Russia had recently, a couple weeks ago, recaptured it and drove out all all the what are they called? All the Ukrainians out of Kursk and started launching Operation Sumi. Again, I believe it's a distraction move to prevent Russia from driving in other locations, because Kursk is Russia proper and they're right there on the border. So if I'm pushing in on Russia, then they have to divert resources from their offensives in Sumy, starting in Zaporozhye, their continued operations in Donetsk, and now Kherson. Now, in my last video, I showed you that there were reports of islands that they were going. Here's the Dnieper River. Kherson's over here. Okay. And basically, there are a series of like islands, like swampy like type land, you know, like any kind of a delta would have. There's also reports from multiple Ukrainian sources that they see Russians. They counted as many as 300 boats to make crossing across the main part. So that's why then, if that's the case, that's why they've been doing these islands. Slow and steady, typical Russian military maneuvers. Okay, this island, this little island. I mean, these are like little islands, you know. And then we'll get over and we'll start crossing in key areas. So if that's the case, this is the first I'm hearing about real operations beginning in the Kherson region in a long time. All right, we know they started in Zaporozhye. It was always lighter than Donetsk and the other areas to the north and east of there. But now they're doing operations here. And then we also have to talk about the, what do you call it? What's the thing called? The Patriot Day, the big parade that's going to happen in Moscow. They're going to be like 30 leaders there. Ben Hodges is running around saying it's a good attack there. But even with all the civilians and world leaders there for Ukraine, that's pretty insane to me. So, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to look for a video on some other topic there. Yeah. There it is. Just hold it right there. So basically, with the Great Patriotic War that it's celebrating, that's what it's celebrating. It's not a random military parade. They do it every May 9th. It's the 80th anniversary. And, you know, Serbia's president's going to be there. Fico of Slovakia, the president of Slovakia, is going to be there. That's a NATO country, EU country. So you say go ahead and attack the parade. But I believe Russia would have made precautions for that. They'll be on ground, and they're going to do a unilateral ceasefire. So they say, if Ukraine really ups it up, they're not going to not fight. I mean, that's just common sense. So, so real quick. So this is a video that came up that I want to show about. I forgot to put it in the thing, but I want you to look at it. So that was the video. I forgot. I just realized, where'd that video go? I realized I forgot to download it. But that's a video of the Sanaa airport in Yemen getting pummeled by Israeli airstrikes. And that happened, right, because the Houthi missile barely missed Ben Gurion Airport and they had to clear out. So they hit the Sanaa airport. And that's kind of coinciding with what Trump said in the White House and that. So maybe some agreement did kind of reach out and that had something to do with it. So I don't know. So we have a lot of developing issues going on right now with the Patriot Day parade. I'm like, let's say today's the 6th, Tuesday, 7th, 8th. So that'll be Friday. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on that. See what's going on with the news on the India deal with the tariffs. See what's going on with this deal with the Houthis and everything like that. We know Ukraine is doing, Russia's doing operations. Ukraine's launching drone attacks and operations. Doesn't sound like peace is going there. And another comment that Trump stuck out at me. He's like, well, they really hate each other. Are you just starting to learn this? It's as simple as that. Farther west you go in Ukraine, the more they hate the Russians. Farther east, the more they identify as Russians. And that has been a dynamic in their country for years, and that has been a problem. It led to the coup, the civil war, the train union being burned down in Odessa, killing 17 people, the declaring of independence by Lugansk and Donetsk. But it shows you that a lot of people just don't understand the history and don't understand what really is this conflict. You know, the narrative, Putin woke up on February 22nd and said, hey, let's go. You know, is insane. It's important to have bilateral relations with Russia, and the Trump administration is doing that, and I'm thankful for that. But they got to get an understanding. And Russia, let's just make this clear, is not going to accept a ceasefire, unilateral ceasefire. For them to arm and do that, no, they're not. as of right now, I believe Sterling Russia is going to go to the Dnieper River, across the fronts, and all that. So, on that note, so we'll keep up on polling on the Romanian elections, everything I just talked about on that. What goes on with these judges. Trump also said there's a major announcement before his Middle East trip, which could be Friday early next week, maybe the weekend. I think if it's a major announcement, he wouldn't want to do it on a weekend. I have no idea what topic it is. Maybe it's foreign policy. Maybe it's to do with an Iran deal. Maybe, I have no idea. Maybe he's going to do something crazy to go after these judges. That'll be cool. So we'll follow that. I'll put out another video later in the week, a wrap-up video. You can follow me on my Twitter at Patriot Plan or X at Patriot Planner 1, on my Getter at Patriot Planner. And if you like this video, follow, like, and share. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day.